Hey everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again with another massive news update. We're going to talk about a WWE superstar who apparently is relatively close to return to the ring. Elsewhere, we're also going to talk about big spoilers from Impact's recent TV tapings in Mexico City and some news from Ring of Honor this past weekend. There was an unfortunate injury to one wrestler and there was some Twitter heat featuring another. All that in just a second, so let's get on with it and let's take a look at all of the news. First and foremost, Alexa Bliss did an interview at Comic-Con, or at a Comic-Con in Phoenix, Arizona, where she gave some updates as to her condition, gave reasons why she's been off for quite some time, and also reported on her likelihood of returning to the ring in the near future. Bliss basically said that recently, i.e. a few months ago, she unfortunately did sustain a concussion and then sort of returned to the ring sooner than she maybe should have, and since then, WWE have really taken a lot of precautions when it comes to her return to the ring. Wisely so, I imagine. She did say she's been training though in the Performance Center soon and doesn't feel any symptoms anymore really when she wrestles in the ring, but she did say that it's hard to tell when she's going to come back because apparently if she starts to train and then does start to feel some symptoms of a concussion, then she has to go all the way back to square one of her recovery. But she did close the whole sort of segment of the interview by suggesting that she is pretty close to return to the ring. She said the chances of her returning soon look relatively good. I will say as well that even though Bliss couldn't exactly compete in the ring over the past couple of months, it has been good that she's been given a role on the microphone as this sort of pseudo-authority figure, I suppose. Yes, we want to see her back in the ring again as soon as possible, but at least through her authority figure and her promo segments, she was able to stay fresh in our minds. So I think that it's all been handled pretty well by WWE. Now on to some spoilers from the Impact Wrestling tapings in Mexico City over this past weekend. I should point out that none of this has aired yet, so if you don't want to know what's going to happen, please do skip ahead in this video. So you've been warned, I'm going to reveal what happened in 3, 2, 1. Okay, there are new Impact Tag Team Champions. Really raising their stock and becoming one of the most impressive tag teams in the world today, LAX, Santana and Ortiz lost their Impact Tag Team titles to the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon and Phoenix. The two teams had a rematch from their match at Homecoming, which of course LAX won recently, and because it was in Mexico City, as you can imagine, the Lucha Brothers got a huge, monumental reaction, and they did beat Santana and Ortiz to become the new Impact Tag Team Champions, but I wouldn't suggest that this feud is quite over yet. I don't know really. There's sides for and against it because reportedly after the match, the two teams embraced in the ring. But just the quality of matches that LAX have been putting out recently, both in and outside of Impact Wrestling, kind of suggests to me that they won't be totally removed from the title picture straight away. Unless, I guess, they get put in another intense feud and it's sort of one that's kept separate from the tag title picture right now. But I don't think it'll be long regardless until they're getting title shots once again. They're just that damn good. And finally, a couple of updates from Ring of Honor's show this past weekend. Unfortunate news to report, as one of the matches was stopped due to an injury before the finish. That injury was sustained by Flip Gordon in his match against Tracy Williams. It was one of those injuries that just reminds you that injuries can occur at any point in wrestling. It just is a dangerous profession. Flip Gordon sustained his after I think like some kind of running drop kick in the corner, and having watched the landing, it's a little bit innocuous. It's not one of those spots where you go, ooh, that must have really hurt. He must have just landed awkwardly, somehow injured his leg, and unfortunately, despite him bravely trying to carry on, the match was thrown out and Tracy Williams was announced the winner. We wish Flip Gordon a full and speedy recovery, of course, and hopefully he can be back in the ring as soon as possible. The other news comes courtesy of a little bit of Twitter beef that happened in the aftermath of the show, or maybe during the show, revolving around Matt Taven and the Revival. In his match, Taven used a version of the Revival's finisher, the Shadow Machine, and that prompted Dash Wilder to take to Twitter, where he said, or words to this effect, I'm paraphrasing, thieves will be thieves, or stealers will be stealers. I remember when you had to beg my partner Scott Dawson to take down his tweet where he called you out for stealing tanning lotion at a WWE tryout. Thieves will be thieves, you've stolen our finishing move. This prompted Maria Kanellis to get involved because she obviously worked with Matt Taven during her time in Ring of Honor, and she was basically issuing a word of warning to Dash Wilder saying, be careful who you step on the way up the ladder, because that's exactly the same people that you'll pass on the way back down. And then Dash Wilder quote retweeted that and put, I'm okay with that. This is going to further the rumours, I suppose, of the Revival leaving WWE in the near future, potentially going to All Elite Wrestling, because of course there's been this whole, over the past year or two, this whole inter-promotional social media beef between the Revival and the Young Bucks, who are obviously two of the big names behind All Elite Wrestling. So that's very much a dream match of the future if Dash Wilder's kind of brazen words on social media are indicative of discontent he feels in the company, but I might just be reading too much into that. Maybe this is just an issue he has just purely with Matt Taven stealing his move. Maybe it's more personal beef. But I would suggest that if the Revival were happy with their position in WWE right now, they maybe would have just ignored it and turned a blind eye to another promotion. But instead, they've got involved. I don't know. I might just be reading way too much into that, but who knows? So that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching this news update. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to, at Jack the Jobber. You can follow all of us generally at Cultaholic. And check out our Patreon as well if you want to, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, if you haven't done so already, to hit subscribe and to join us.